We are live here at Climate Pledge Arena, where the Seattle Kraken are, for the first time ever in franchise history, Glenn, they are 2-0 after beating the Vegas Golden Knights, their kind of manufactured arch enemy. 2-1 in overtime. It was a really exciting game, and there's so much to talk about. I'm really excited to do our very first post-game live here on Saturday. We're going to make this a special thing on Saturdays, and I'm so excited, Glenn. I have so much life about this year's Kraken.
Are you not entertained?
Why don't we first talk about the game itself? So,
Okay.
It started out slow. It was a low event game to start out with. We had no scoring in the first. In the second, the Kraken get a power play, and the power play, which was not the best last year, we got a look at this year's power play under new coach Lane Lambert, and we got really the goal of the game. It was a beautiful setup to Matty Beniers. What happened on that play, Glenn?
Well, it starts with the cap. That's Joey. That's Jordan Eberle. He is behind the net. He's not looking where he's passing, yet he knows where he's passing, which is right between his legs, tape to tape, without looking, onto the stick of Matty Beniers.
And Matty said that was not an accident when we talked to him after the game. That he's skilled. Jordan Eberle, he's not the biggest guy. He is not going to lay the lumber every game, but he is an extremely skilled player. And really, I think the thing that also set that up was that it wasn't a fluke play. It was a really great zone entry. There was a lot of structure to the Kraken overall that I saw all game. But so we go into the second intermission, 1-0, and then in the third period, Vegas ties.
Well, they have a guy for their team who is absolutely on fire. It's his fifth game, a fifth goal in 3 games. But let me go back to the Matty Beniers part of the Kraken power play goal, because sure, he gets it at the top of the crease, and Jordan Eberle has made this unbelievable pass. It was a no-look pass. Even if he knew he was going to do it, it's one thing to know you're going to do it, but actually doing it, and then with a guy trying to beach into the glass at the same time. So Beniers gets it. He also is calm and collected. Instead of shooting into Aiden Hill, he goes forehand, backhand, because what he's got to do is go around Hill's outstretched pad, but inside the far right post, and he does that. If all of those things don't happen, the Kraken don't have a power play goal.
And it's the sort of thing that you might try and practice, but to do that in a game, to have the audacity, the daring to do that mid-game is truly, it just speaks to the skill that he has and the faith that he has in his skill. And also, I think it says something that in the second game already, that they have the permission to be creative, and that I think it's a really interesting indication by Coach Lambert that he's not stifling these guys, that he's giving them the room to explore and try things. And it was, I'm just so impressed by the Kraken. It really is.
Well, to that point, Lambert said after the game that if the team had lost the game, he still would have been pleased with the effort. So it would, of course, the result is great, but he liked the approach his team took. And speaking of creativity, how about that selling by Matty Beniers? You know, it's his trademark to go down to one knee, but he also twirled the stick, and Matty's got some showmanship.
I think the vibes, I mean, it's 2 games in and it's a new coach, but the vibes are they're really good. And it's not just the new coach, because last year at this point, it felt weird and different. And I mean, not like weird in a bad way, but just like everyone was like trying to kind of figure out like, oh, what are we doing with plasma? And trying to find their footing. This year, it already feels like people are the mood is better. The mood was better in training camp. The energy is there. Jared McCann is such a litmus test, and we should talk about him in a moment.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about how the game ended,
All
and
right.
then we can pivot to Jared.
So the rosters, if you look at the rosters, you go up and down the rosters, the Vegas Golden Knights have a superior roster. They're one of the favorites to go to the Stanley Cup final this year. So as an extension of that, you would expect in a 3-on-3 overtime where there's more open ice, and you're the team with Jack Eichel, and you're the team with Mitch Marner, and you're the team with William Karlsson, and I could go on and on and on, and Mark Stone, and you would expect that you would have the edge 3-on-3 when there's more open ice. And the Kraken haven't been a great overtime team in their history. Yet the Kraken dominated possession in the overtime. They dominated the scoring chances in the overtime. Joey Daccord, who I promise we are going to talk more about, but Joey Daccord made great saves in the overtime, but play in the OT was dominated by Seattle, who ended up with, in 5 minutes of overtime, minus a couple of seconds, 7 shots on goal in the overtime. They dominated, and to the point you made earlier, they were not holding back. They were not waiting. They were not playing not to lose. They were playing to win the game. And in a second, I want to go through that final 15-second sequence, because there's a couple of things that if you watched it here at Climate Pledge or you watched on TV, you might have missed. But I want to give you a chance to talk about the overtime, in general.
Overtime is, this is probably one of the most important games played this week in Seattle sports. Some might say it is the most important one to go to extra time. Those people would be very, very wrong.
Oh, by the way, I want to thank the Mariners, since you brought them up.
Yeah.
Well, not for winning the game, for finishing the game before this game started, because I thought maybe we were going to be talking here and saying, by the way, the Mariners are in the 73rd inning.
So those who don't remember, 3 years ago, the Kraken home opener against Vegas was the same day that the Mariners played against the Astros. It was an 18-inning game. That game started at 1. The Kraken game started at 7. And so like, it'll be done by the time the Kraken game starts. It was not done. And then the Mariners lose. The Kraken are losing. The air is taken out of the building. And then I go and I look during the first intermission, and there are people who are getting in who had left the Mariners game, and they're getting in. They're just like dejected. They're just like super sad, and they're like, like the Mariners got eliminated, and like, the Kraken, I think they were losing like 2-1 or 3-1 or something. And that was a super strange day. Today also there was a lot of Mariners. We got Humpy, the salmon, who I guess had never won a race until yesterday.
Yes.
During the 14th. But it was the vibe was so good, and in overtime, you get that feeling of like, oh no, when the other team has a puck on their stick, and you just didn't get that very much because there wasn't that much danger, because Vegas never really had the puck in overtime.
They didn't. And so that leads me into the last 15 seconds of the game. Starts with a face-off in the Vegas end. Matty Beniers takes that face-off, and the Kraken, among other things, have not been in their history a good face-off team. Beniers tonight won 59% of his draws. including the most important one of the game. He wins the draw. Vince Dunn gets the puck. Dunn gives it back to Beniers. The clock's winding down. 10, 9, 8, 7. Beniers knows this. Normally, he might not have taken a shot from 40 feet out, but he knows whatever happens to this shot, Vegas isn't likely to have time to go down to the other end. And if the Kraken want to win the game, he's got to take a shot. Well, he doesn't just take a shot. He takes a great shot because the shot is almost neck high on the goalie, Adin Hill. That means it's impossible for him to catch it. It's impossible for him to deflect it to the corner. It's all that Adin Hill can do to stop the shot from going in. But it means a rebound is going to drop. And this is the other half of what happened that I absolutely love. And I had to watch it about 10 times to catch all this. Jared McCann is standing in front. And oh boy, does he pay a physical price. Adin Hill, the goalie, gives him a two-hander, a real cross-check. Well, McCann falls forward toward Mitch Marner. Maybe you've heard of him.
I've heard of it.
Played the Toronto Maple Leafs. So McCann gives Marner a two-hander, a cross-check, so to free himself. And for all of Mitch Marner's gifts, he's not the guy you want playing defense in front, trying to box out on defense. McCann has inside position on Marner. So when the rebound comes down to the ice, McCann finds it first. Marner, at this point, who has hooked McCann, now trips him. McCann is falling down. As he's going down, he sees the open part of the net. Having made the save, Hill is in no position to stop the rebound. And so McCann pots that goal with 3.8 seconds left. And then one last great thing. As McCann gets up, just before he celebrates, he turns and gives Adin Hill a nasty look, maybe a Nancy look. But he gives a nasty look as if, cross-check me, will you? Have my 400th NHL point, why don't you?
See, I was watching Joey Decord while this was happening because Joey during overtime winners is so entertaining. And so while the action was going on, I had my eye on that one, but then also I was watching Joey. So, they scored the goal and immediately I had my camera trained on him and he, sprints down the ice and then he, last year there was an overtime winner. He went too hard and he went too fast and he fell down and then he was fine.
He went viral.
He went viral. Yes. Now he has the wherewithal to slow up.
He was a bit more measured tonight.
Yeah. Well, it's only game 2, so you got to pace yourself.
Yeah.
Joey was great. He was great all night. The defense was really, really good. And I want to talk about the defense and the defensive play of the team because we know that Lane Lambert preaches defense. And I was expecting it to take longer for them to kind of buy in and execute what's going on. One thing that I found interesting, and Jared McCann mentioned this in postgame, is that they're not the biggest team, but they're trying to get bigger and they still try to use their bodies. But if you recall, in year 2, when the Kraken made the playoffs, those teams were so disruptive with their sticks, right? They weren't getting in. They weren't botting Colorado and Dallas. They weren't, being super physical, but they were disrupting. They just had great timing to disrupt passes and get sticks in the way. And that's happening a fair bit in Anaheim, and it happened a ton tonight. And Vegas, they just couldn't get a lot of momentum, a lot of flow, because Seattle was disrupting what Vegas was doing. And it has been a long time since I've seen the Seattle Kraken dictate the play against a good NHL team, it was really, really impressive.
Speaking of the physical aspect, Seattle had 17 hits in the first period alone. Adam Larson was hitting everything that moved, including a former teammate, Jeremy Lazan, who he put right down on his wallet, but he was hitting everybody. Ty Carte, of course, with big hits. And the other physical part, a player not known for being physical, but Brandon Montour, not only did he absolutely lay out Evan Whitecloud, here's one thing, kids, don't in the neutral zone reach over your head to try to bat a puck away, because then you won't be seeing the freight train named Brandon Montour, freight train number 62, who with a clean shoulder check just absolutely levels Whitecloud. You know what that did for his teammates. And then when one of the Vegas teammates goes to stand up for Whitecloud, Montour fights him and puts him down on the ice. And Monty's not known for fighting. He shouldn't be, but he did that as well. And we can only imagine how much of an energy boost that gave his teammates, because the fight happened and the hit happened right in front of the Kraken bench. So they had front row seats.
The other person that I really noticed all night is Chandler Stevenson, who I noticed him a lot last year too.
Wait a second.
But in this,
I'm coming to you, Esther. I think I'm having the big one. Are you about to praise Chandler Stevenson?
I am indeed about to praise Chandler Stevenson, who was one of the worst players in expected goals.
That doesn't sound like praise to me.
Well, all right, well, we'll get there. We'll get there. He was one of the absolute worst players in the league last year, 5-on-5. He had a lot of empty calorie assists, and just didn't seem like he belonged necessarily with the system or what the Kraken were doing, or maybe he was just not. He was in the wrong place a lot of times, and every time he was on the ice, like they just got caved in on expected goal share. And I've been pretty down on Chandler Stevenson, as a lot of people have been. And tonight, he was really good, like really good, Glenn. And not just like one or two plays, but he was consistently in the right spot, making defensive plays, breaking up passes. He's playing on the penalty kill, and 5-on-5. It's just, I'm like, what? Who are you? And this is not who I thought you were last year.
Yeah. I can't top that. That's wonderful, and may it continue, number 9. But I do want to turn to number 35.
Yeah,
because to my eyes, the Kraken don't get to overtime without the play of Joey Decord. And for as many sticks in lanes as the Kraken had, the Golden Knights didn't have a lot of shots, but they did have quality of shots. And Decord kept them in. I would not have been surprised if Vegas had scored 3 goals in that first period.
Yeah, Joey, he's been dialed in. He was dialed in the first game. He's been dialed in today. The Winter Classic, the game against Vegas, was his breakout game, and I was thinking about that. I would have asked him about that if they had brought him out for media availability. Yeah. He might be a dark horse or he might be a contender for the Vezina if he levels up from where he was last year. He was good last year. He was very good last year.
Tell me who in the NHL through 2 games is playing better in goal than Joey Decord. Yeah, I can't think of anybody either.
Yeah.
I mean, 1 goal against the Ducks, 35 saves in that game. Not as many saves tonight, 26, I believe, but the quality of saves he had to make. And when I go look at goals saved above expected, I mean, it should be about 17. and it's only been 2 games. He was dialed in preseason too.
He was, yeah.
Now, okay, preseason, but he stopped 48 of 50 shots in preseason. Now he stopped all but 2 shots in the regular season. And Anaheim, one of the up-and-coming teams, but okay, you want to say a non-playoff team, fine. Against Vegas, Vegas had 10 goals in their first 2 games. So it wasn't like they'd been having trouble scoring. Now, the scoring hasn't been even, but nevertheless, their problem had not been offense in their first 2 games. It had actually been defense. They tightened up their defense tonight, but a goalie's going to get in your head. And the Cord may have gotten in their head because, again, I thought the Kraken's first period may have been the one where they struggled the most, and yet they came out with a tie, just like they did against Anaheim.
60-minute effort. Yeah, we heard that a lot from Hacksaw. We heard it a lot from Bilesma and Lane Lambert, who, boy, the energy was really. What does it take to get that guy excited? I thought Hacksaw was flat line, but woo.
Well, this is interesting. After the Anaheim victory, the Kraken have a new player of the game trophy award. And I said this year it's a helmet. It's a helmet donated by Jerry Bruckheimer, one of the Kraken investors and a filmmaker who made a film that came out this summer, F1. And the helmet from the fictional driver played by Brad Pitt, he, meaning Bruckheimer, got permission to use a replica as what the Kraken, one player hands to another as the player of the game. So the reason I bring this up is because when Lambert was asked about this, he said, this is really private and I want it to stay in the room. Okay, except at the very same moment, Kraken social media was posting the video of Jordan Eberle giving Joey Decord the helmet and including a written full description of what the helmet meant. Jeff Baker, who is their lead editorial person for the team, on Friday did a whole story, including an interview with Bruckheimer about how he got the helmet. This story was picked up not only by the hockey media, but by motorsports media. I saw it on motorsports sites. So it wasn't like Lane was keeping out information that wasn't already being spread by his own organization. So he may have to do a little rethink, or maybe he won't.
Last year was the same thing. Dan Bilesma was asked about the belt.
Yeah,
we saw a belt in the locker room, and then it was Kate Sheffy asked.
Yeah, of the Seattle Times.
Asked, and he was like, that's between us and that's the boys in the locker room, and that's a private thing. Whilst Kraken media is like, they're putting it on Twitter, and they're like, they have a video of handing the belt, and like, why is it really that important to keep this thing secret for exactly 5 minutes?
Well, because the whole point is this helmet is a feel-good story. It's given out after a Kraken win. It's a great story. Without having an investor who's also a big-time film producer, it wouldn't have happened. The Calgary Flames aren't getting that helmet.
Yeah.
So for the Kraken to have that, it's all positive media. It's all feel-good. There's nothing to hide, except that that's the hockey culture, that you don't talk about these things. Except Kraken coaches, there's cameras in the dressing room with you. They are employees just like you are, and they're about to put this out to the entire universe. So anyway, but Lane Lambert is going to retain an even keel demeanor, and that goes whether you win in the last 3.8 seconds or, as may have inevitably happened this year, the Kraken lose a game.
I don't think so. I've done the math, and they're on pace to go 82-0. So
you can't argue with math.
It's just statistics. You got anything else?
Well, they start a 6-game road trip in Canada. They go to Montreal on Tuesday, and they won't need an airplane as high as they're flying just on 2 wins. And if you had the Kraken winning each of their first 2 games, you're lying, because no one on this planet had them winning. The Kraken have probably equaled the October win total that a lot of people had for them. But, you know, inside the room, that's why they don't listen to that kind of stuff. And that's why they play the games.
You know, I was talking to a few people during intermission, and the consensus was, and I agree, is I think this team might be a lot better than we thought they would be heading into the season.
And, you know, nothing succeeds like success. The last point I'll make to you, Zane, and to those of you watching, and thank you for taking the time to join us, is that like a good baseball pitcher, you want to get to a good opponent early, like early in the season. Like with a baseball pitcher, they say you better get him in the first inning or the second inning before he hits his stride. The Vegas Golden Knights haven't hit their stride. They had a battle to beat San Jose. They lost to the LA Kings. They're not where they want to be. And maybe it's hard for a team expected to go to the Stanley Cup final to be as motivated as a Kraken team is in October. But what we know is the October points spend just as well as points in March and April. And instead of playing catch up, the Kraken through 2 games, they're banking points. So I don't expect the Golden Knights to be as easy to beat. Not that they were easy, but it's going to be harder to beat them in January and February and March. So I'm glad that the Kraken got them while they're not firing on all cylinders, because 2 points is 2 points.
2 points is 2 points. And yeah, it's like the banking is exactly the thinking as well. Is that, you know, these points, they matter just the same. And at the end of the year, those early wins, they matter super a lot. And you know, it doesn't. No one looks at a team that gets into playoffs and go, well, but early on in game 2, you know, the opponent wasn't really ready, and so this is not really. Nobody cares, right? Nobody remembers.
What they care is that it's your unbeaten, untied, first place Seattle Kraken. And after their game in Toronto against the Maple Leafs next Saturday, we're going to do another one of these.
Probably the most important Seattle-Toronto sporting event to happen this month.
On ice, anyway.
Yeah, on ice. Well, that's all I got. Good luck to the Mariners. Also, Cam Chancellor did the. I guess they're doing a new.
They've got something where it's like a manual noise meter.
Yeah,
I don't quite
get
it. It didn't even woo. It was like, or it was like a ship, like pulling out, and he was putting it on full.
Oh, yeah, maybe that's what it was. It was like one of those.
It wasn't really terrifically explained, but it was Cam Chancellor, so who cares?
Right. And people see Cam Chancellor, the famed safety for the Seahawks from the 2012.
I mean, what an inter-sport love fest we have going on. I mean, the Kraken were at the Mariners game 5 against the Tigers.
Yes.
Now we got the Mariners, one of their seventh inning stretch runners, mascots, and we have a member of the Seahawks here. So can you feel the love?
Yeah, Humpy the salmon hoisted the colors with Bowie. They did that together. Matty Beniers did say that the game went so long that they had to leave the game early because they had hockey stuff to do in the morning. So the Kraken, who were at the Mariners game yesterday, that ended in 15 innings, did not stay until the end, and so they left early to beat traffic or get ready for a hockey game.
Well, at least it seemed like they had a suite for Game 5. Earlier in the series, they were up in the nosebleeds.
Yeah. So I forgot who it was, but I was talking to somebody, and they were like, they're at the Mariners game, and they're like, "Oh man, that whole person looks like Jamie Alexiak," but it can't be Jamie Alexiak because they're way up in the nosebleeds. And then it turns out it was in fact Jamie Alexiak.
Well, you see, when you win your opener, suddenly then you can sit in the suite. So who knows what kind of seats they'll have for the next Mariners home game against the Jays.
And one last Mariners Kraken thing. The last preseason game that the Kraken played, they invited a bunch of Mariners, including Dan Wilson. And I was, after the game, after meet availabilities, I was in the elevator and I saw somebody wearing a custom third jersey, number 12 Naylor Kraken jersey. And I was like, wow, somebody loves Josh Naylor so much that they got a custom Kraken jersey with his name and numbers. And then somebody asked, like, hey, do you play for the Mariners? And he turned around and was like, oh, right, of course. No, it's not so it's just a Josh Naylor fan that they got a Josh. It was literally Josh Naylor, which then he wore that jersey in the celebration yesterday. He's wearing a Kraken jersey. So, it's not like he was wearing that during the game.
Yeah.
So they win the series. They're going to the American League.
He has to pick something to wear.
He has to go. So he goes to his locker or whatever, and he's like, okay, of all the things I'm going to be celebrating in, this is it. I'm going to wear my Seattle Kraken jersey. And that's what he decided to wear. And that's what he represented. And so, all of America and presumably Canada is seeing the Mariners celebrate. We see Naylor, a super key member of the team, and he's celebrating along with them in a Kraken jersey. It was so cool. I love what is happening to Seattle sports right now. It is really amazing how the Mariners have injected so much life. Also, I mean, the Kraken are doing well, the Seahawks are doing well, the Mariners are doing well, the Sun.
You had to go there. You were just rolling. You were doing great.
Well, I think we're out of time, Glenn. Thank you very much for stopping by. Really, really appreciate it. We're going to be doing this every Saturday. We want to make Saturday kind of special and something that, we want to make it an event. And if they're not playing on a Saturday, then we'll do it on a Friday, although they do play on most Saturdays for the foreseeable future, it seems. And if you are on YouTube and you're seeing this, liking and subscribing really helps us out as we're getting started and growing the YouTube channel. We'll see you next week. I'm Zane. This is Glenn. I don't want to speak for you, Glenn, but you're still Glenn as far as I know.
Unless I owe you money.
Okay. All right. And thank you so much. Any parting words, Glenn?
Nope. We'll do it again. As they say on Pardon the Interruption, we'll try to do better next time.
Thank you so much. Go Mariners. We'll see you next week.